Good morning. Today is a very special and auspicious day. It's Lag BaOmer. It's the day when we celebrate Rabbi Akiva, the great sage who we read about in the Talmud so much, who lost 24,000 students to a pandemic. And on Lag BaOmer, they ceased from passing. And that's what we celebrate on Lag BaOmer. We also celebrate Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was one of his students who survived and wrote the Zohar. The Zohar means the light of the Jewish people. And that's why many communities have bonfires and celebrations. In fact, we have a huge celebration at Chabad at 5:30 for children and adults as we celebrate this special milestone. And the reason why we celebrate in such a special way one of the reasons is because when Rabbi Akiva lost his 24,000 students, he didn't give up. He started again, and he had 5 students left who he built up to be the greatest leaders of the Jewish people. One of them being Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, of course, who wrote the Zohar. And it's interesting because today, on this auspicious day, last night our son Levi was in Tzfat, Israel, where hundreds of thousands of people, Meron, go to the gravesite of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to celebrate. And we found out at that moment that Israel begun Operation Arrow and Shield. Last week, the jihad, Islamic Jihad, which is financed by Iran, trying to destroy Israel, threw over 100 missiles into Israel, terrorizing the entire south of Israel. And usually what happens is Israel shoots back and bombs some of their buildings, but they're all in bunkers, they hide. But this time, as Israel did a year ago, they waited. And they shot a little bit, but they surprised them last night in the middle of the night. And they took out the 3 top leaders of Islamic Jihad. And today in the morning, they took out a 4th one. While at the same time, closing schools for hundreds and thousands of Israeli children within 40 kilometers of the Gaza border, and making sure that they are near shelters in case they have to go into bunkers to protect them from the terrible and terrorist onslaught of Islamic Jihad. And it's about time that Israel stands up for itself. And on this auspicious day, remembers that although we're a nation of love and kindness and always stretch out a hand in peace, we will not be deterred from protecting our citizens, from protecting the people of Israel. Never again means never again. In this week's Torah portion, we have a double Torah portion of Bahar and B'chukotai. And in Bahar and B'chukotai, we read the curses that God says will happen to the Jewish people if they don't follow the Torah. But then at the end, God says, V'zacharti lahem es brisi, I will remember the covenant that I made with Jacob, with Isaac, with Abraham, and I will also remember the covenant that I made with them, and I'll remember their love for the land, V'esa'aretz Esker, I will remember the land of Israel. And the rabbis tell us that what God was saying is, and Rashi explains this, that although through all the trials and tribulations, God will never forget our covenant to Israel. Jacob was the one who studied Torah day and night. Isaac was the one who served God with service of prayer. And Abraham was the one who served God with kindness, stretching his hand out to others. And of course, the love of the land of Israel. You know, yesterday something remarkable happened in Israel. We all know the sad story that happened on Passover when Rabbi D, who emigrated from England to Israel, was driving with his kids when a terrorist shot at their car, killing 2 of his daughters and later his wife, who succumbed to her wounds. And just last week, actually, Israel caught the 2 terrorists and killed them in a shootout in the West Bank. But this remarkable family, as their mother lay dying, before she died, they decided to donate all her organs to save other people. Her 2 kidneys, her liver, her heart, even her cornea. They donated it to people. And yesterday, or the day before, I think, Rabbi D and his remaining 3 children, the oldest being Karen, who's 16, went to visit these people whose life was saved by their mother. And they went to the hospital and they visited a 50-year-old woman who got the heart of Mrs. D. And when they were there, Surprisingly, Karen, their oldest remaining daughter, who was 16 only, asked the doctor if she could hear the heartbeat of her mother's heart in this woman. And everyone was startled. But the doctor said, of course. And he took out a stethoscope and he put it onto Karen. And then he put it onto the heart of the mother. And as she listened, Karen started sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And after she finished, she said, it was so hard for me to listen to my mother's heartbeat when I can't see my mother and she's gone. But it was also so comforting to know that my mother's heart is continuing to beat in another Jew in the Holy Land of Israel. God tells the Jewish people, even through the hardest of trials and tribulations, I will never forget your love and kindness for each other and your love for the land of Israel. Israel has to be strong. On this auspicious day of Lag BaOmer, as the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, illuminates the way, Israel has to defend its people and let the world know that although we're kind, although we're giving, we will never ever let them take advantage of our people again. Am Yisrael Chai, do an extra mitzvah today for Israel, for Lag BaOmer, in celebration of this auspicious day. And if you're able to join us, just sign up online and join us. Have a great day.